World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
Hello, and welcome once again to another fantastic Tuesday where you get dressed down. CEO Tyrone Glover is coming to you live from my hometown of Yonkers, New York. Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you, as always, for making time. Make that time, ladies and gentlemen. Please use our hashtag Make time to get this knowledge, get this understanding of how you need to leverage your score, how you need to add to your financial knowledge. Again, I always try to say it's what we don't know that keeps us from progressing. It's what we don't know that keeps us from the opportunities that should be there for us. And as much as we want better, the only way to get there is to do better. So again, thank you for everyone who did make time to step away from the scrolling, step away from those other extracurricular activities, to step away from those things that might be preventing you from getting that financial success that you so desperately need and you want. We know you want it. We know you want it. And as you can, obviously, as we're maneuvering through some of the circumstances and challenges that have been plaguing us for the last, 2 months now? January, 1 month and 13 days. You know what you have to do, folks. You know what you have to do. But I always want to give a shout out to those who bring this, make this all possible. Soul City Network, an amazing platform that's doing it for its people, making sure that we get what we need, which is that knowledge, that understanding. We don't need them as much as they think we need them. They think we need them way more, but we don't need them. I'm telling you, we have everything we need. All we need to do, or as Reverend Allen said, all we need them to do is get up off our necks. That's it, get up off our necks. So we're going to be talking about regulators. Who are they and what do they do? One of the big ones that we're going to be talking about today is the CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau. But before we dive into that, I would love to start this Black History Month. Where are you? My Black History Month pen. I got my Black History Month hat. So I would love to start off with, first and foremost, a moment in Black history. All right, so before I even get started, again, let me give you a little bit of my rundown of who I am. My name is Tyrone Glover. Again, I'm the CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery, and I'm also now an executive director. You can go ahead and put those slides up. I'm an executive director of Yonkers Young Entrepreneurs, which is our new endeavor that allows for us to, again, help the youth of color in marginalized communities, making sure that they have what they need, because our youth, they're the new leaders. As much as I keep saying it, the youth of color are our greatest asset. And once we start investing, once we start giving to those youth of color, they're already doing it for me. I have a great Substack audience of youth of color in marginalized communities. I have a newfound love for Discord, which also equally, again, we're doing some great things for Yonkers Young Entrepreneurs. I am a co-facilitator at Riverside High School Leverage Financial Literacy Investment Club. So not only am I doing it in the realm of the community space. I'm also doing it in the realm of the academia space as well. Financial credit recovery. We talk about credit recovery. I am a credit recovery specialist, financial advocate, and activist. I am a teacher, and I love this job. I'm a teacher for Yonkers Public Schools, along with being equally an honorable discharged veteran of the United States Army. So I have worn a lot of hats. And now it's about me giving back to those communities that truly need it. I'm not chasing anybody down. I'm not soliciting anyone. These are straight up offers, ladies and gentlemen, straight up offers. We're offering you an opportunity to get out of your own way and start forcing yourself to become financially literate. So that moment in Black history, we're going to be talking really quickly about Black Wall Street and Juneteenth, a legacy of resilience. What's our excuse today? Because clearly we got something going on that ain't adding up. We got something going on that is not adding up. We can talk about the politics of it all, but we as a people, what are we doing? Are we doing enough to make sure that we're lifting up our own as we are being, or as we are seeing an administration that's not doing what it needs to be doing by the fabric of the United States, which is all its citizens? Here you go. As we celebrate this Black History Month, Black History Month is more than a time for reflection. It is a call to action. The stories of Black Wall Street and Juneteenth are not just historical moments. They are blueprints. Again, mark that word, blueprints of preservation, preservance, ingenuity, and communal strength. Again, perseverance, ingenuity, and communal strength. Are we really unifying? Do we have more in common? Which I'm always going to say, we have way more in common than we do in our differences. And it's time for us to now really confront those things. So the question is, what are our excuses today? To our Black leaders, to our congressional leaders, to our academic leaders, to our religious leaders, to all of these leaders who are out there leading, are you really leading? Or are you just placating and making excuses? Because if that's what you're doing, I'm almost probably going to say this is what you've been doing for a while now. And it's time for us as citizens, as we the people, it's time for us to get this in order. And for those of you who want to continue to lead, lead. But those of you who do not, I think it might be time for you to step away. We got brand new leaders who are up to the challenge. I think it's time for us to make sure that they're in those positions of authority. So Black Wall Street, economic power in action. In the early 20th century, Greenwood, Tulsa, widely known as Black Wall Street, was a thriving hub for Black entrepreneurship and financial independence. It had banks, hotels, theaters, and successful businesses, providing that economic empowerment was within reach, even in the faces of systemic racism. However, in 1921, the community was decimated in one of the most violent racial attacks in U.S. history. Despite the destruction, survivors and their descendants worked to rebuild, showing the power of resilience. Juneteenth, a celebration of freedom and responsibility. Juneteenth commemorates June 19th. So all, please mark your calendar, June 19th, 1865, the day enslaved people in Texas learned that they were free. It took that long, the Emancipation Proclamation, it took that long for that to get to Texas for those individuals to realize they were free. 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, it's a reminder that freedom is not given freely. So as we deal with this administration, remember that freedom is not given freely. It must be seized, protected, and utilized. You gotta know what you don't know, because if you don't know, you're destined to repeat it. The resilience of newly freed Black Americans in the aftermath of enslavement showcased the drive to build communities, educate themselves, and carve out success against all odds. Think about that again. build communities, enslaved individuals who had the resilience to make it through all of that, what was being thrown at them through that. I myself, I'd say all the time, there's no way I could have been a slave. Absolutely not. But to know that our ancestors built communities, they educated themselves. The one thing that I can say about myself, I am an independent studier. I do not mind spending that time to educate myself. I actually thrive on it. So we got to become more of that, educated individuals who get it from the academic facilities, who also get it from the higher academic institutions, who also get it from those working environments and cultures that we also thrive in. We have to now look at ourselves and go, are we doing enough? And if we're not, what do we have to do for self? What do we have to do? Because as I said it before, these states have already determined what you're worth. These states and federal governments have already said, this is it. I live in a state which the state's minimum wage is $15, $18, depending on where you live. But what gets me the most is that federal minimum wage since the early 2000s, if I'm not mistaken, has been $7.25, and it has not risen since. Okay, therein lies a huge problem, and this is why our people do not progress in the manner in which they should, because we're not speaking more eloquently and forcefully about some of the conditions that we ourselves should be looking at. Now, how do we get to where minimum wage stays so stagnant while we see, as you have already witnessed, individuals getting richer and richer and richer and richer and richer? There's actually a new category on that side of the wealth category. It's called the uber wealthy now. So we used to have poor, middle class, and rich. Now we have poor, middle class, rich, wealthy, and uber wealthy. And you know how they're getting wealthy? They're getting wealthy off of our hard labor. So what's our excuse today? Today we have unprecedented access to resources, technology, education, and capital. The barriers are real, but so are the opportunities. If Black Wall Street could thrive under segregation and Black Americans could build legacies right after Emancipation Proclamation, what's stopping us now? Please think about that for a minute. I'd love for somebody or a couple of you to type a answer to that in the, as the show progresses on, type an answer into that. What's stopping us now? Think about it again. If Black Wall Street could thrive under segregation and Black Americans could build legacies right after emancipation, what's stopping us now? We own it. We owe it to ourselves, to our ancestors, more or less, to leverage these tools to build wealth, support Black businesses, invest in our communities, and continue the fight for economic and social justice. We owe it to our ancestors and ourselves. They set the groundwork, and we need to fulfill that understanding. A lot of us can do it. And unfortunately, we spend a lot of time combating each other versus spending time uplifting each other. We have more to talk about someone versus more that we should be collaborating with someone. Our community needs to find in this particular year, and I would prefer to do it while we're in this Black History Month, but if it takes until we get to Juneteenth, that's fine. It's okay. I'm okay with that, but we need to decide what's more important. And I think what's more important is us to unify, us to come together. Marginalized communities come together. African Americans come together. African Americans and Hispanics and Asians and poor white folks. You got to remember something, folks. This is not a racial conversation any longer. This is about the haves and the have-nots. And the more that the haves keep attempting to make it into a racial conversation, that divide only gets bigger and bigger and bigger. We need to focus on what the real problem is. And the real problem is that our labor is being exploited. And anytime labor is being exploited, it will give that domino effect, and that domino effect will lead into economic exploitation and social justice exploitation as well, as we have all seen. The past was built on resilience. The future depends on action. My thing today, I got up and I called 3 congressmen, and I'm going to be doing that every single day. I'm going to be writing an article on my Substack. So please, if you get the opportunity, go to Tyrone's Substack and take a look at some of the articles that I've already written. But yes, the future depends on our actions. What are we doing to uphold the legacy? Think about that today, ladies and gentlemen, as you maneuver through this particular month, which is our Black History Month. Think about some of those questions that were posed to you today. And hopefully, before the segment is over, you'll drop a few questions in the question section area, which is on our StreamYard. There's a question section area, and also equally on our YouTube, there is a question section area. Equally, we're on Meta as well. So you have 3 platforms that you can go to and leave a question if you deem it necessary. All right, so as I said, that was a moment in Black history. And now we're going to dive into the topic matter, financial regulators. Who are they and why they matter? CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau. Now, as you may or may not have heard, the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau, just like all of these departments that are now being staffed with individuals who have questionable ethical backgrounds. I think if you don't know, again, go to my Substack. There's a great article that I was writing on the 15 departments. I started highlighting some of the individuals who are and should not be due to their lack of experience, their lack of knowledge, their lack of education. Just again, the lack of. I have never in a million years seen anything close to what we're witnessing now. But the CFPB is like all the other departments. It was shut down. If I'm not mistaken, it might still be closed, but I know there's lawsuits ongoing, doing the things that they need to do. Again, 3 branches of government. One branch can't run the entire country. It's not going to happen. It's not. And as a soldier, I have to always look back and go, wow, I was on a military base, and on that military base, that base had certain understandings. If you didn't have a clearance, you couldn't get into certain areas. Today, we have individuals inside government institutions doing things that we probably will never find out what they were doing. Never. I'm sure that as time goes on, just like Donald Trump wants to release who killed Martin Luther King and who killed JFK, well, maybe some administration might decide to say back in 2024, what did Elon Musk and Donald Trump do while they were secretly exploring or getting access to institutions that they probably should never have access to? So the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protections Bureau, this is going to be I believe this is going to be the straw that finally breaks the back of this whole dysfunction or disruption that's going on. Because now you're going to have rich folks trying to get rid of something that consumers want, protection. They want to be protected when it comes to their financial understandings. They don't want to go back. How many of you want to go back to fees where they were 30 and 40 and 50 bucks? Under the last administration, they were doing everything that they can to get rid of junk fees. Now, this new administration is trying to add it right back in. But let's look at the CFPB. What is it that they do? So understanding the financial system, it's important. It impacts importance and its functions. The financial systems match the ability funds for savers and investors with borrowers and others seeking to raise funds in exchange for future payouts. Financial firms link individual savers and borrowers together. Financial firms can operate as intermediaries. They issue obligations to savers and use these funds to make loans and investments for the firm's profits. Financial firms can also operate as agents playing a custodial role, investing the funds for savers on their behalf and segregated accounts. The product, instruments, and markets used to facilitate this matching are a myriad, and they are controlled and overseen by complex systems of regulators. Now, as you can probably have already witnessed, we have seen how some entity it's called Doge, has now assumed responsibility of what Congress should be doing. And I don't understand how Congress hasn't pushed back forcefully enough to say, sorry, can't do that. I know why the Dems are doing it. I get it fully why they're doing it, but the Dems, as always, too late to the party. I understand why the Republicans can't do it, because they are intimidated. They are being bullied by the MAGAs who will, and it's sad to have to say that, who will show up at their kids' schools, who will show up at their workplaces, at their wives or their spouses' workplaces, who will show up at their school board meetings, who will inundate their emails with hateful speech, who will inundate their cell phones or their texts with equally hateful speech. And I get why the Republicans are so afraid of that. I get it. I understand it. But Republicans, you have to decide, along with Democrats as well. You have to decide. Do you want the job? Because if you want the job, do the job. Don't be afraid of anyone. If you don't want the job, step away and let somebody like myself or somebody else who's willing to get in there and fight for what we need to be fighting for. And we need to be fighting for the institution, which is the CFPB. It does a vital role. It makes sure that no entity is taking advantage of consumers. Rich folks will do what they have to do. And when I say rich folks, I don't necessarily mean just the rich. I'm talking about institutions like financial institutions. I'm talking about companies. I'm talking about those that need regulation. Deregulating will not solve anything. It will create more harm than good. Anytime you start deregulating, I can recall Dr. Ronald Reagan, why we don't have manufacturing in this country. Why we don't? Well, then think back to 1983, where they deregulated. And everything went overseas because it was cheaper. Now we're looking at, do we have anything made in America? Almost nothing. I mean, you can get you some, what are those plastic things for your cars? Can't remember the name of that particular item right now. You get some Caterpillar, farming equipment. There are bits and pieces, but that overall manufacturing that used to be here, no, it's gone. It's gone. Why? Because deregulation. Same thing that's going to happen if they decide to get rid of the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau. More harm is created than good. And this was created under the Obama administration, which this is a vital piece of our protection. We must do everything we need. We must do everything we can to protect the CFPB. So strengthening consumer rights, the role of Consumer Financial Protections Bureau, CFPB. The Consumer Financial Protections Bureau, CFPB, has regulatory oversight over various financial entities, including non-banks, mortgage lenders, private student loan providers, payday lenders, and other significant consumer financial institutions it designates. While certain markets reserve statutory exemptions, the CFPB retains rulemaking authority to establish consumer protections, regulation applications to all banks. Additionally, it holds supervisory authority over banks with assets exceeding $10 billion, ensuring compliance with consumer protection laws and fair financial practices. We've seen that this, or at least I've seen, hopefully you will now see as you do your own research. Go to the CFP website. If it's still up, it might not be up any longer, but let's take a look. CFPB. And yes, their page has a 404, page not found. So that again, that's odd. That is one of the most weirdest things in my entire life, that a agency that has nothing but good. Is there waste and abuse? It's always. Do we throw away food that we cooked maybe 2 days ago? That's waste. That's waste and abuse. Why? Because we should have warmed it up the following day and finished it prior to cooking another meal. I tell my mom and a lot of people that all the time. Waste and abuse, waste and abuse. We only follow those who waste and abuse. Does our government need to be downsized? Absolutely. But I can tell you right now, based off of the article that I did about subsidies, please go to my Substack Tyrone Glover. or it's going to be Tyrone Substack. But go check out that. You want to know where we can really do the biggest bang for our buck? Subsidies. There's this thing called Subsidy Tracker. Check it out. It's really fascinating. It's really amazing because it shows you how is it that a for-profit business can still get government money when you or I, if we didn't have enough to pay that rent or we didn't have enough to buy that food and we went to those authorities and said, hey, I don't have enough, they would laugh us right out that office. But yet let a multi-gazillion dollar company go to a regulator and says, or to a legislator and say, hey, I need X, Y, and Z. They're going to, oh, you sure you don't need more? So the CFPB does a fantastic job with protecting us from, again, the institutions, non-banks, mortgage lenders. You need to make sure that they're doing the right things by your documents and by your lending obligations. Private student loan providers. How many of you still have student loans out there that should have been wiped away? Did you know that Elon Musk had a $60 billion, I think it was billion or 60 million. My apologies if I'm off there. But again, a billion, a million. Nevertheless, he's the richest man on the face of the planet. So if it was 60 billion or 60 million, but I believe it was 60 million. $60 million to that Texas gave him to, I think it was a billion. Nevertheless, gave him a whole bunch of money. He was supposed to meet certain terms and conditions. And guess what Texas did? They said, aha, you don't have to worry about it, but let a student. That was a loan guarantee that Elon Musk did not have to pay back. But yet let one of these students, and this is why we have a regulatory body to make the playing field even. Payday lenders, you probably all have or may not, or some of you may have, frequent them. Payday lenders with thousands and thousands of percentages that they charge. And I'm glad that this is now a almost obsolete, extinguished entity here. These payday loans, payday lenders, predatory lending is what the CFPB more likely takes care of, and other significant consumer financial institutions it is designated to oversee. We need this type of organization. We need it. We need it more than ever. So what and how is that all encompassed? So now you can see how that all works. So you got state regulators, you got federal regulators. So regulators, the board of governors of the Federal Reserve System. You can see how this all plays out. It's pretty unique. I thought it was really cool when I was putting this together, how you got different agencies doing certain things. The FDIC, how many of you know what that is? Yes. Okay, good. That is the Federal Depository Insurance. And they do Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Right over here, FDIC. And then you got the OCC, which is the Office of Controller for the Currencies, NCUA. You got a bunch of regulatory, the National Credit Union Association, got banking, insurance, securities, and then one of our favorites, which is the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, my apologies, CFPB, FHFA, which is the Federal Housing Finance Authority. So you need regulators and you need individuals within those companies that understand how this all works so that we, the consumers, do not get taken advantage of. Without these regulators, we're going to be taken advantage of. And you can see how all of these intertwine, how they do what they do. But nevertheless, oversight is a must. It is a must. When rich people who now occupy the White House, and they're doing everything to staff the 15 critical departments of the United States, how that administration or how all administrations work, you need individuals in there who are going to do the job for us, the citizens. And this is how the CFPB operates in that space. It's pretty cool for a junkie like myself who loves this kind of stuff. So enhancing financial security, the role of the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau. Before the 2008 federal financial crisis, consumer financial protections was fragmented across multiple regulatory agencies. leading to gaps in oversights and enforcements. And this is what they like. They love to have these gaps in oversights. I'm going to constantly keep saying, I was on a military installation that you needed to have a secret or a top secret clearance to have access to certain spaces on that base. Why is it today that someone who's not going through any type of confirmation, someone who's not going through any type of background has access to every single one of our institutions? That's crazy. Why Congress isn't pushing back is beyond me. And I mean all, even those deathly afraid of threats that might come from the MAGA faithful. They may want to make America great again, but make America great again for whom? Clearly for those rich who have multiple legal conflicts of interest, to those who are seeking and only looking after their own well-being. These oversights and enforcements are critical. And to have individuals in there that are undermining that, I am so pleased of those SDNY legal eagles who decided to step away, who decided to say, hey, no, not me. I'm not doing nothing that's going to compromise my integrity. So we got to make sure that these departments, we got to make sure that these agencies are doing and are staffed with people who look like America, who wants to do the job for all Americans. This is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we're at. To address these shortcomings, Title 10 of the Dodd-Frank Act established the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau, CFPB, as a designated agency to strengthen consumer protections, to strengthen our protections, and ensure consistent regulation for both depository and non-depository financial institutions. Although housed within the Federal Reserve, the CFPB operates independently, with its director also serving on the board of Federal Deposit Insurance Corporations, which is the FDIC. The Dodd-Frank Act consolidated and expanded Consumer Protections Authority by transferring oversight responsibilities from various agencies to the CFPB, giving the broad jurisdiction over a wide range of financial products and services. And we need it. We need it. As soon as that's gone, as soon as they know they can do whatever, watch what's going to happen over these next couple of months. Watch what's going to happen. I'm just telling you now, be prepared. Don't be shocked. Don't be, oh my God, I didn't know. Those of you who voted for this, you clearly didn't do enough of your own homework. And that's okay. Now you have us who did more than enough of our homework to make sure that you're going to be okay. And it's all right. The election is over. We can go back and forth. Oh, she could have, he, so forth and so on. That's done and over with. I'm sure Kamala is sitting around just giggling. And you should rightfully be cracking up. Rightfully, you should be cracking up saying, look at what's going on. Look at what's going on. I know you're going to do your part, and you always have been that faithful leader. We may not have agreed upon everything or every step as to you becoming the vice president, but I have to say, I bet right now people wish they would have put you in there versus putting something else in there. But as I said, Consumer Financial Protections Bureau is a must, It protects consumers from egregious overreaches that are now going to have some harm, detrimental effect upon our financial systems. And it's not even been, what's the word I'm looking for? Hasn't even been tapped on to even realize what they've done, because what they're doing and what they've done, because they have individuals in there who should not have access to these tools. But they do. So here are some of the things that the Financial Protections Bureau oversees. They oversee merchants, retailers, or sellers of non-financial goods and services, like what I do when it comes to credit recovery. To the extent which they extend credit directly to consumers, exclusively for the purpose of enabling consumers to purchase such non-financial goods and services. Auto dealers, which I think must, again, that is a must. Imagine going into an auto dealer and they ruining your credit, which has happened multiple times in individuals that I have spoken with. Hey, I went to buy a car, and even though these dealers know one credit check is all you need, but they'll constantly keep running your credit, There was one year that I bought a Volkswagen. Loved my Volkswagen GLI. I loved it. It had the Tektronix. It had it wasn't a 6-speed, but it was a 6-speed. It had the Tektronix, and then it had the shifter that you could put into drive mode, or you can use it as an actual 6-speed. It was pretty cool. Volkswagen is an awesome brand. Unfortunately, they got caught up in an admissions scandal, but this is why you have regulators. Nevertheless, when I bought my car, I had a credit score. It was in that 760. After I bought my car and looked at my credit report about 30 days later, my score had dropped from 760 to 625. Was I livid? Absolutely. And you want to know why? Because of all of the multiple auto dealer credit checks that they did. So please, when you're looking or seeking for a car, and now you wonder, and think about this. Now they're doing auto loans, or not loans, but auto financing. Prior to that, they're not having any dings on your credit report. No dings. Wonder why they changed that. I wonder why. Real estate brokers and agencies, be careful. Again, this is the one category where if you're buying a home and you do end up getting multiple inquiries, guess what happens? It doesn't affect. You're also able to tell the lenders that, hey, or potential creditors at times, you're even able to tell them, hey, that was for my house. Should have only, it's supposed to fall under the one credit inquiry versus like an auto dealer where you can have 9 and 10 and however many, because they're trying to search around for the right deal for you. Yeah, heard that before. Financial intermediaries regulated with the SEC or the CFTC. All right, so you need to have other regulators who do other things to make sure that all of it works cohesively. And we're seeing that, or we have seen that it has worked at times, and we also have seen that it hasn't worked at times. But this is why we are called the American experiment. We're still experimenting, and we're still going to constantly keep experimenting until we finally get it right. But this is the analogy that I use with some of my students. I said, think about this. So you're driving down the street, and a pebble or a rock jumps up, boom, hits your windshield. Now you got a crack in the windshield. So do you destroy the whole car? Do you take the car to the crusher and crush the whole car because you got a crack in the windshield? Or do you call Safelite? I think you would call Safelite. Why are we taking the sledgehammer or why are we placing the car in the cruncher? All because of the fact that we just have one crack in the windshield. It's time to start rethinking, folks. It's time to start putting our priorities back in a space and place where it's going to make a lot of sense. If we do, I'm telling you, we'll walk away from this with minimal harm. But the biggest thing that I can tell every single person moving forward is to get in touch with your financial understanding. You have to. If you do that, I'm telling you right now, you'll feel much better. You'll find yourself in places and spaces where you are deserving. Because without it, you're going to find yourself somewhere where you don't want to be. And too many of us are. If you're not experiencing it already, it's only a matter of time before it does hit you. And I would rather we do whatever we need to do so that we do not find ourselves in these challenging times any longer. They're going to be challenging. They are definitely going to be challenging. And the part that I want all of us to walk away with is that even though they're challenging, we still have the ability to navigate through that space. Only if we want. Only if we want. We can't want it more than those who are providing it for us. We have to be able to see through the noise and not let it affect us to a degree where we cannot function or breathe. It's super important that we are doing the things that we need to be doing. All right, so we are about 22 minutes away from, and I'm hoping that I can get a couple of questions in the chat. Thank you, Justin. Good to see you participating. Thank you very much for that. Anyone else, if you have a question, do not hesitate. This is not school. I kind of got to tell my students as well, even when we're in our Substacks or when we're in other realms and spaces where we're sharing information and education. It's really important. Insurance companies also equally having regulatory bodies that can make sure that you're not getting taken advantage of when it comes to insurance companies, making sure that those things are there for you when you need it. I'm going to go back one, and since this was one of our shortest organizations that we had the pleasure of doing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring you over to my Substack. I'm going to walk you through one or two of those articles that I think it's important that we all really take a moment to think about. Are we doing the things that we need to be doing to solidify and protect not only our financial integrity, but also the integrity of this nation? Are we doing the things that make sense? And if you're not, it's now time for you to understand you are the CEO of your household, and that household will thrive and it will produce the results that you want, but you got to get out of your way. You got to stop thinking that whatever you have been told, whatever you have been programmed to believe, that doesn't stand true any longer. You got to be able to move away from what your mental capacity is telling you you need to keep doing versus what that inner feeling is telling you what you must and how you should be navigating that space. And that's why I'm here doing what I do. That's why I am here presenting to you, making sure that everyone who needs and wants to understand the importance of what you have to do moving forward, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's up to you. It is up to you. And if you do what you need to do, that's what I love most about what I do. Knowing that I am the only one in my space that can change what I do not like. I am the only one. And for that to happen, I'm going to need everybody to realize that as well. You're the only one who can change your outcome. We're going to be here to help you. We're going to be here to guide you. We're going to be here even to hold that hand. But you're the only one who can do that work. I can't do that work for you. As much as I may want to do that work for you, I can't. There's no way I can. But you can do it for yourself. All right, if you can put that slide up, I just want to show the audience really quick. This is my Substack area, and my Substack area has a variety of topic matters, and primarily, as I say, it's really about making sure that it is informative, that it is bright, that it is colored with all of the illuminations that draw you in, keeping them empowered, keeping you focused, keeping you engaged. These articles are done with you, the consumer, in mind. If you think about what my Substack states here, right here, united by dedication and resilience, we hold the key to crafting a brighter tomorrow, which enriches every facet of society. The moment to ignite change is here, and it's now. We have to do what we must do to protect ourselves on all levels, on all fronts. When it comes to that academia, you're responsible, but you're going to need leadership that's willing to step into that space and place to allow for you to thrive. We are the people. We the people. No one can tell us anything other than, and if we unite and come together, we're able to withstand anything. But that financial responsibility is always going to be key. That's going to change the direction and the trajectory of how you see yourself. When that money is doing well, guess who's doing well? You are. You're able to release some of those endorphins that are building up inside you because them pockets ain't right. Once you start taking care of that pocket, health starts to change. Once you start addressing that pocket and that health, your capacity to deal with stress starts to change. Once you start dealing with that money, that health, and that stress level, your overall appearance gets better. You start having a little bit more pep in your step. You start doing the things that you should have been doing. This is a course correction, ladies and gentlemen. Course correction. No more New Year's resolutions. Course correct. Don't make the drastic changes. Again, go back to what I just said about that window. Just because you got a little crack in the windshield, don't destroy the whole car. What is it that you have to do? Safe light repair, safe light replace. Okay? Think about your life kind of in that understanding. Just because things may not be going in the manner in which you want them to go, don't start throwing things out and starting anew. There's no need to start anew. You've already had multiple years of success, multiple decades of success. I tell my students all the time, I said, those of you in the 9th grade, you should be able to speak very eloquently about the success that you've had because you've had 9 years of developing and creating the person that you are to be in the 9th grade, the 10th grade, 10 years, 11th grade, 11 years, 12th grade, 12 years of success stories. When you leave that 12th grade and go into that higher academia, or you leave that 12th grade and go into the military, or you leave that 12th grade and you find other opportunities that are out there, you have a story to tell. So tell that story and don't let others get in the way of your success. You are successful. Now go out there into the world and don't let anyone stop you from. But always remember that you have a lifeline. You have individuals out there. I have a great lifeline. I have Soul City Network. I have Anaj Enterprise. I have Riverside High School. I have Yonkers Young Entrepreneurs. I got a whole city that I can turn to if I need to. And that is a beautiful thing. And I want all of us to have that understanding that you can, no matter what, you have the ability to do as you need. Let's focus on unifying. Let's focus on coming together. Let's focus on uniting versus dividing. So just looking at a couple of these titles that I just put out there, you have this one here that was done on the February 16th, Unleash Your Infinite Potential. The time for transformation is now. Students, community, and nation builders. Check out that article if you get an opportunity. Check it out. It's one of my, I love everything that I do. And that's the beauty of being me, because I appreciate me so much that I know that my contributions that I'm bringing are changing lives. They're making not just me better, but they're making the individuals that I have the privilege of being in contact with. And I ask everyone, share this information. Let's not internalize it and hold it for ourselves. There are more individuals out there that could benefit from these sessions, that could benefit from these articles. Don't think it's just for you. And I also tell everybody as well, take what you need and leave the rest. Not every word is meant for you. Not every paragraph is meant for you. Not every section is meant for you. Take what you need and then pass the rest on to somebody else. We have to start thinking more strategically. America in crisis, a nation under siege, chaos, corruption, and the collapse of leaderships. If you don't believe me, read the article. If you're not seeing what I'm seeing, read the article. Maybe we can come to some understanding. But my Substack is filled with wonderful. And when I say wonderful, I love, again, what I do. I love what I do. Why now is the perfect time to, again, remember I told you at the beginning, make time and course correct your financial future. You're the only one who can do what is needed for your future to go into that direction in which you want it. I can't do it for you, but I can definitely be here to help you out, guide you along the way. What I was talking about earlier, the Department of Education. The Department of Education is a pillar. That article right there is so empowering. Why? Because there's a lot of things that I didn't know about the Department of Education. And because we're now dealing with a lot of crises, when I wrote this article and I did my research, I walked away with more knowledge about why we need to keep the Department of Education. It doesn't really give that much as much people may think. The Department of Education is primarily funded by the states. And the federal government steps in to help out those states that have a large population of low-income individuals. Without that resource, I'm sure the states could still do it. But it's nice to have that federal oversight to make sure things are going in the manner in which they should. That article was amazing. Please go back and check it out. As I said before, I'm always going to be doing a contribution to Black history. If you missed last week, I read this article right here. Black History Month, A Divided America, a call for unity and accountability. Black History Month, it has long been a beacon of recognition, resilience, and reckoning. And that's how we should be looking at Black History Month. Is Black History Month a month that we should be getting rid of? No. Until this nation understands that we are a united America, not a divided America, until they can understand that the fabric of what we as African Americans have contributed to, until that is woven into the fabric of this nation, Black History Month is a must, Do white lives and brown lives and yellow lives, or whatever colors that these individuals constantly keep putting out there, do they all matter? All lives matter. All lives matter. They do. But until Black lives have the same effect on everyone, then we're going to have to constantly keep saying Black Lives Matter, and also consistently recognizing the Black History Month and all the holidays that follow those understandings as well. Juneteenth, need to make sure that churches are coming together. Black History Month, we need to make sure that churches are coming together. Unified fronts, not this division. We shouldn't be having church after church after church after church doing their own thing, so our politicians have to jump around from this activity to that activity to this activity and so forth and so on. We need to be a united front where all the politicians can stay for 5 and 6 hours talking to all of the individuals that they need to talk to, versus giving this location 20 minutes. Oh, I got to jump over here to this location. Oh, got to jump over here to this location. And you want to know something? I think they like that. They like the division. America, Black America primarily, during your month, let's focus on uniting. And I know we talk about this other subject matter, and it falls into that space of financial literacy. And most people still think it's a bit odd, still think it's a bit questionable. But I can tell you right now, learning a new skill like a day trading, the great equalizer in an unjust system, oh, trust me when I tell you, it's going to change the face of how you think. I'm not a certified financial planner. I'm not someone who attempts to sell anyone anything. I am someone who strictly does one thing and one thing only. I will inform you. I will educate you. I will coach you. And then I will let you loose to do your best against anyone who thinks that you are unprepared. Here's another one, a great article that I just finished February 6th, Stopping the Madness, How Democrats and the People Can Defend Democracy from Lawless Convicted Felon, or from A. Again, that's factual, ladies and gentlemen. There's no fiction there. The individual occupying the highest office in the land is a convicted felon. And the activities in which he is unleashing upon this nation, some would say it's kind of lawless. If you don't know anything about authoritarianism, if you don't know anything about kleptocracy, if you don't know anything about oligarchy, I would strongly suggest that you do your part and research. Independent studier like myself, I did my part. And I want all of you not to be me, but be you. And let's focus on these things that we need to be focusing on, and encouraging and demanding upon our elected officials to get out there and do their part. Doge, the department, and I named it myself, Doge, the Department of Greedy Elites. Doge, the Department of Greedy Elites, exposing the real welfare queens pillaging America. The real welfare queens. Again, this is the one, that article that had that subsidies and all of that money that's going into different spaces and areas. It's kind of laughable, and it's a tragedy all at the same time. How politicians demonetize the poor, corporate titans feast on trillions of taxpayer holdouts. Trillions. The individual occupying that White House, along with his Doge cronies and the youngsters having access to sensitive information, which they shouldn't have. We don't know what they're doing. We have no clue what they're doing. And as long as they keep pillaging, and it's going to come out, watch, mark my words. Let's put this on the calendar right now. 2/18/2025, 6:54. Mark my words that when we do find out how much money has been stolen, don't be surprised. But there you have it, folks. That's my Substack. It's a great, and when I say great, I mean it's a space in which I encourage more people to get out into the world and do what I'm doing here. You have something to say. One of the most boisterous generations that we have is the last generation. Boisterous. They were always constantly saying what they don't like, what they want, and so forth and so on. But let's do that in a more constructive manner, in a manner in which it's going to be very, very helpful versus doing it in a manner which it tears down. I'm telling you now, you're going to enjoy your life. You're going to appreciate the opportunities that are going to be given to you. Let's take a look at a few more. We got about 5 more minutes. If anybody has another or a question that you want to pose while I'm wrapping this up, please feel free. Another article that I think you should really tap into is what is it going to take for our communities to take this serious? All right. What's it going to take? What's it going to take for you to take breaking generational curses through financial literacy? What's it going to take? What do I need to do to emphasize? Because I'm still going to keep doing what I'm doing, but what do I need to do? What do you want from me to be able to get you to say, you know what? It's time. I have to #make time. All right. We talked about that day trading and also civic engagement. I think that last election went that way because a lot of people were civically disengaged. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one of the #1 searches after the election is, what is a tariff? It's a good thing I come from the business community, so I understood what a tariff was. But for individuals after the election, after the individual had won, are going to type in what's a tariff, that's pretty sad. Then as we went through that month of January, started hearing the oligarchy word. Again, one of the top searches during that month of January was, what is an oligarch? You can see how dumbing down America, poisoning America, making America more violent with guns, that didn't help the situation. It only made and created the divide in which we have now. Here's another one. As the January time frame was ending, I was wrapping it up. The reckless rhetoric of a convicted felon in chief. Again, the vitriol, the poison that comes out of this individual's mouths over and over and over and over, the vicious, the distorted understanding. And it's up to us to do better. We have to hold them accountable, and equally we have to hold ourselves accountable. It's not about getting mad. It's not about getting upset. It's not about them orchestrating a narrative that they always do that keeps us thinking that we're the ones who are doing the things that we shouldn't be doing. No, we're doing exactly as we should. Now that we're empowering ourselves to do more, let's make sure that the individuals who claim to be fighting for us are equally doing that as well. Again, I'm going to give a shout out to those legal eagles who are deciding, and everybody who's resigning in protest. You have a round of applause for me. I would give you a standing ovation, but my face would go out of the screen. But I'm giving you a round of applause. Please continue to keep demonstrating that you understand why you took that oath, because I understand why I took mine, because what was it there to do? It was there. I was taking an oath to uphold the Constitution. a living document. And I understand who I was fighting for. And that is to, again, that oath was taken to uphold, defend this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And unfortunately, right now, we have far more domestic enemies than we do foreign enemies. So last but not least, January 25th, how to level the financial playing field in an era of wealth and power. So you can see my Substack it's filled with a variety of topic subject matter, primarily a lot of financial products and services and articles, and a little bit of my politics. But as I tell everybody, my politics is controversial, and I love being controversial subject matter. I love it. But guess what I'm going to tell you as well? I also love to know that I am delivering upon my expectations. And that expectation is to make sure that you are well informed. Well informed. That's all I want to make sure that everybody here is well informed. So, ladies and gentlemen, as always, I want to thank you for giving me part of that afternoon. I am always grateful to be with you. I'm always grateful to do what I do for you. And all I ask is that you share this in the same manner as we ask all of our individuals to partake. My name is Tyrone Glover, and I am the Dress Down CEO of Leverage Credit Recovery. I want to wish you and yours a great remainder of your Tuesday. Have a wonderful remainder of your week. And as always, America, I'll see you in passing, and be safe.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.